Hey everybody, welcome to Dead Spot Podcast, Episode 4. Episode 4 being titled Next Gen. Today we're going to be talking about a lot of the young talent in the league, some of the best young duos, and just some of these playoff performances we've been seeing from the young guys. But if we're going to get started today, I believe we got to get started with the Mavs and the Clippers. I went to Game 2. Personally, me and my fiance, we went. I had to see it live. Luka, one of my favorite young players. I picked the Clippers, if you watch my last episode, to get to the finals and lose to the Nets. But I really like Luka, so I just wanted to see it live and see what it was all about. And let me just tell you firsthand, the kid is special. I mean, to see it live, to see what he was able to do, it was something to watch. I mean, sitting there and watching him go from Pat Bev to Paul George to Kawhi to Marcus Morris, whoever, and was scoring on anybody with ease. He was laughing in their face. I mean, there was really no answer for what he had going that night. I mean, he was hitting 1-footed threes. He was getting to the hole. He was dunking. He was doing. It was just whatever he wanted at will. So it was like he was definitely like by far the best player on the court. And for him to only be in his third season it's special, man. And sometimes, people say, "Oh, well, he hasn't won yet," and this and that. And I mean, that's okay. Like, the people that won when they was young, y'all don't even really respect them. D Wade won and ring his third year. People tell me he's not even a top 20 player. Before Kobe passed away, people was disrespecting him, saying it was listed on ESPN saying he wasn't even top 10. Like, that's crazy. He won a ring in his fourth year. Magic, if I tell you he the third best player ever, people will say that's disrespectful, and he won a ring his rookie year. So it's like the players that y'all look up to, LeBrons, the Jordans, all of these players that are the two greatest players, they didn't win until their 7th, 8th season. So why are we acting like Luka got to win the championship for us to act like we can really understand how special he is? That's not. I could give you some of the numbers. Luka already in his third season and averaged 25, 8, and 8 twice already. The only other players in NBA history to average 25, 8, and 8 for a season were Oscar Robertson. He did it 5 times. Michael Jordan did it once. LeBron did it twice. Russ did it twice. And Harden's done it once. That's the whole list of people that done that in the NBA history. And Luka had already done it twice in his first 3 years. So if he do it again next year, he'll already have the most 25, 8 seasons since Oscar Robertson back in the 60s. So, like, that right there is impressive. I mean, LeBron James, as we could look at, is probably the most complete player ever and only did it twice in 18 years. Rustin averaged triple-double 4 times, and he didn't only average 25, 8, and 8 twice. So you got to understand how, like, special he is and what he's already bringing to the table. I mean, you looking at, especially when you look at who he playing, the Clippers, who we all thought were the best perimeter defensive team out there. I mean, you got Paul George, Kawhi, who are probably who we thought were the 2 best two-way players in the league. Pat Bev, Marcus Morris. So it's like, for him to be taking them on, and this is his second time playing them, and I think he had 8 playoff games now, and he didn't had 38 or more in 4 to 8 games. Like, come on now. So it's like, we have to stop acting like we can't anoint this boy to be one of the top players in the league, because that's what he is. It's not even up for discussion anymore. And if he get past the Clippers and he could go on a run and maybe get to the conference finals, or hell, even the finals, like, how can we deny him a top 10 spot? I don't see how we can do it. He's a top 10 player in my book. Somebody got to get bumped. And a lot of these players that's ahead of him, like, a lot of these players ain't been to the finals. A lot of these players ain't won nothing. Like, they don't have any MVPs or anything. So it's like, we just going to keep them ahead of Luka because they've been in the league longer? Or he'll never be able to catch them in years until they retire. So that's not really fair, When you know a generational talent, you just got to go with the flow. When we seen Bron, we didn't need to wait 10 years to say he was special. Or, when Kobe came in his own, Jordan came in the league day one, you knew, like, he was averaging 28 his rookie year. You kind of knew he was going to be special. Like, Magic, like, when you see it, you just kind of know. Like, my papa used to always tell me, when you see a generational talent, you kind of just know. Especially, like, when you see it live, you could just kind of, it's just something that feel different about it. And watching Luka live, I left feeling different about it. Like, I don't know. Like, I was really impressed by that game. Just seeing, like, I was kind of sitting close. I was like 10 rows up. I could hear Ty Lue saying, pick him up, full court. Somebody get him. Nobody was stepping up full court. PG would get up and then take 4 or 5 steps back before he could even try to guard. Like, he had everybody timid and playing all out of sorts. And they even saying Rajon Rondo is calling out the plays. He know the man's plays from when he played there, and they still can't stop him. They ain't even really running plays, the coach said, because Rondo's so smart, he know them all. So it's like, for him to be doing what he's doing is simply amazing. But before I move on, I mean, even though it's the next gen, we got to touch on the Clippers. The Clippers, man, they've literally let Luka take their heart. I don't know what's going on. I was there at the game. Kawhi had a really good game. If you looked at it, it was 41. He had 30 at halftime. So, I mean, that's really good. But, I mean, he had 30 at halftime, and they was only up 2. So, like, his impact wasn't really, like, it was kind of minimal. Like, you know, like, he was kind of keeping them in the game, but it wasn't like he wasn't helping them pull away. And then for him to be considered the best two-way player, he literally guarded Luka for 2 plays in the fourth quarter. I think he got to get that title up. I don't think you could be considered the best two-way player and you not stepping up for assignments. I don't know what happened to Kawhi. That's not the Kawhi I'm used to seeing. Like, you know, as a Miami Heat fan, I remember back in the 2 finals we played against him, he guarding LeBron. It don't matter how many times LeBron scoring. If LeBron passed to D-Wade or if LeBron not in, he checking D-Wade. He not stepping down from any assignment. When he was with the Raptors, he stepped up and guarded Giannis and whoever else he needed to guard to do it. So I don't know if he just lost a step or what's going on. Like, it's really shocking to me. I just can't even see him not wanting to take the challenge. That's the biggest mystery. You know, PG, I mean, he had a pretty good game, but he still just got times where it's just like, what are you doing? Like, it's like he'd go 5 or 6 minutes and won't really make too many good basketball plays. So it's like, I don't know why he can't put together a complete game. It's like, okay, a good little first quarter, okay, now good like third quarter and partially good for, like, you got to be able to put together a whole game when you're playing against somebody like Luka. Like, because as you can see, parts is not going to cut it here. It's not going to work. So he got to have a full game next game if they're going to find a way to win. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do because Kawhi won't guard Luka. So if he won't guard him, I don't really see Luka stop doing what he's doing. And even if he do, I don't even know if he's going to stop doing what he's doing because I don't even know if Kawhi like that no more, like on defense. He got to show it to me because I seen it up front and he was ducking smoke. And that's just the simple facts. You got to give a shout out to Tim Hardaway Jr., you know. That man can ball, you know. I mean, he's not his father, but the jumper is pretty. The elevation to get on the shot with Luka, like, he's a perfect player for Luka because with Luka drawing all that attention, if you kick it to Tim Hardaway, as much lift as he get on the shot, you recovering late, you're not gonna be able to contest it. So he getting his looks off clean, and really it's just about making or missing. He's making a good amount. I think he had 28. I think he might have hit 6 or 7 threes. So it's like he balling, you know. So when you have a player like that that's drawing attention, KP I think had 20. It make it a little easier for the other guys. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is a guy who he's not probably ever going to be a star in this league, but he's a hell of a role player. And with the right people around him, he could really flourish for the next 10 years. And I think his best bet is to try to stay here with Luka and try to see how much they could build as a backcourt because Tim Hardaway he pretty good. I really like what he brings to the table. And then, I mean, really, if you just look at it, like, I don't really even know what they did that was so special. Like, the Mavs they 4 of their players scored 100 of their points. Like, it wasn't like no big spread out game. I mean, the bench didn't even really score that much. The Clippers bench actually won 38 to 24. So they only had 24 points off the bench. I don't really even see where they would, like, if you look at the stat sheet, there's no way you would think the Clippers didn't win. They shot like 50% from the field or like 52% from the field, I think. They shot out like 39% from 3. Their best player went for 41. Their second best player had 28 and 12. It really just, I don't know what didn't click. Like, how is that? Any other day, Kawhi go for 40, PG got 28. They shoot that from the field. That's most times a win. So I don't know, like, it's tough. Like, I don't know. It comes down to the little key plays and who willing to make them in it. Right now, Dallas is making all the little key plays. And in a series where it's like it looks like they're about dead even, it's coming down to the little key play. And if Kawhi isn't gonna step up, they could get swept. So it's like it's all on. Like I was saying, it was on PG to keep Kawhi, but looking like that's might not happen. Kawhi could be gone. So now it's on Kawhi to at least not get swept, put up a good fight. I mean, let's say, if you could go win 2, you back in the series, but at least go get you 1 and have some respect. Like, don't go out with no sweep to no third-year superstar. Like, that's crazy. Kawhi, come on. We would have to talk about it. He would have to. That would be a bad look if he lost to Luka, if he got swept. I would have to say that. So we'll see what they could do. They got another game coming up, but it's going to be in Dallas. Dallas, I think they said they got 15,000 fans. And I think they only sit 19,000 people, so it's going to feel about packed in there. Hey, so we'll see what go on, man. We will see. But moving on to some other young players, if you look at over the past weekend, we had D-Book go off 34, 7, and 8. We had Trae Young go off 32, 10, and 7. Ja went off for 26, 4, and 4, and then come back and went for 47 game 2. Trae Young come back and go for 30 and 7 the second game. Looking at what these young guys is doing is amazing. D-Book is one of my also another guy I really, really like, and he haven't been to the office, and everybody, what he gonna do when he get there? And for him to come out first game and play the way he did, hit a lot of the big shots he did, and get a win, even though now they down 2-1. But for his first game against the best player of his generation, one of the best bigs of his generation, for him and Aiden to come out and play the way they did. Can't forget Aiden. Aiden had 21 and 15. It's impressive, and I think a lot of it got to do with, I was telling some of my friends, like, these players nowadays, like, they not like how it used to be back in the day where they didn't know the people that they was going up against. Like, these players, they know the stars. Like, the stars have camps for them. They have little 5-on-5 tournaments with the kids. Like, these kids know Curry. They know LeBron. They know KD. Like, Trae Young got pictures with all of them when he was like 13, 14. So when you get to the league and it's like it's time to do battle, it's like, come on, I'm ready. These are my big brothers. These not like, oh my God, like how people used to talk about Jordan. If you look at videos, it's like, oh my God, like I just was watching the way he walked. Like, nobody talk about players like that today because they are all friends. Like, it's not like that anymore. So I feel like that helps a little bit, but still to be in your first playoff and do what they do. I mean, Trae Young, like, he went for 32 and 10. He only the fourth player to have 30 and 10 in his first game. And the first 3 is Bron, CP3, and D-Rose. So for him to be the fourth person on that list, like, pretty impressive. And what I will say is I do owe Trae Young an apology. I do. When he came out, I was not sold. I did not think he was going to be that good. I'm like, I didn't see it. Like, I was seeing what he was doing in Oklahoma, but it's like he taking all these bad shots. Like, he taking most of the shots, so it's like, of course he going to score. But I just felt like, to me, a bust. Like, I felt like he could have been a bust. Like, because I thought it was a lot of players going after him that was better. And that's what I consider a bust. Like, if you get drafted really high and there's 4 or 5 guys that go after you that's better than you, then that's a problem. But, I thought Colin Sexton was going to be better. I had Michael Porter Jr., Mikal Bridges, Shea. I thought Shea was going to be... Well, Shea is really good, so but he's just not... He's not better than Trae. Colin Sexton really good, but I can't give him Trae. And then I also, for some odd reason, really liked the Kevin Knox. Like, I knew he had his little, like, issues, but I just thought once he got to the league, like, I just thought something was going to click for him. So I wasn't as sold on Trae, especially with a top 5 pick. I thought that was kind of high, but I was wrong. He was the only player this year to average 25 and 9. Nobody else did it. Luka came close. I think he averaged like 8.7 rebounds. And if Harden would qualify, I think he was like 24.3. So he was kind of close, but Trae the only player to do it. And we give all of this credit to like Julius Randle for taking the Knicks to the 4th spot. But he took it from 12 to 4. That's an 8-spot jump. Trae Young went from 14 to 9. That's a 9-spot jump. And we didn't even give him no recognition this year. They didn't even get talked about. They was having a terrible year, and then they switched coaches, and they took off. And it's like Trae Young is the main reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's been dominating. He's been balling. They even had one of the best record. I think they had the top 5 record over the last couple months of the season. So, yeah, man, we got to start respecting Trae, man. The kid is real. Like, I can't say he Luka. No, none of these young players are Luka, but he's special. And I don't care if you don't like the way he played. I'm still not really the biggest just fan of the way he played. But as far as just hoop, man, come on now. 25-9, 32-10 in the Garden. Game 1, Garden rocking. And he hit the game winner. So it's like, for him to have that type of moxie and that type of courage and that type of confidence in himself, he like that. He there. He there. Him, D-Book, Luka. Can't forget Ja. Ja coming out just hooping, 26, 4 and 4, all of the big shots. He might have had 10, 12 points in the fourth quarter. So, that's the type of player Ja is. He might not always have, the big numbers like a Luka or a Trey. He might not average 30. But you could see the impact on the game and the killer instinct. You could see the clutch gene. He kind of got, some of, Jamal Murray in him, where it's they don't always have the best numbers. You're not going to always look and see, every game, it's not going to be just throughout the whole season just be great numbers. But when you need a bucket, if you need a big shot, they're not scared to take it. They more than confident, and most times they make these shots. So it's and they know how to get to their comfortable spot, and they know where they spots it. That's a big factor for a lot of players, knowing where you need to get to be successful. Players taking bad shots, they don't take really bad shots in the clutch moments. If you go back and look at it, they get to where they like to go. They get to where they practice their shots, and they knock them down. So I don't know. The future is bright, man. When you look at it, like I said, Atlanta went from to the 5th seed. We got to talk about their development, what's going on with them. I got a question. And I know Brett had a bad game last game, so this is a terrible time to ask this question, but the Hawks not committing to John Collins, I kind of don't get it. I understand they think he's a little overpriced, but when you a team like Atlanta, man, you got to just kind of understand you're not getting free agents. Everybody's talking about the 2022 free agency class. None of them people are coming to you. Curry, KD, whoever these people are, LeBron, you're not getting any of them because it's such a superstar-driven league right now. People are going to team up with other superstars. They can win championships. You're not in that echelon of okay, we one piece away. Y'all need a couple pieces and just keep building. If you a young team and you doing okay, they should be looking at 3 to 4 years from now, to be honest. Because in my book, the Brooklyn Nets just got together. But if you look at history, no big three lasts longer than 3-4 years. The Warriors, they big three was 3 years. The Cavs big three, they lasted 3 years. The Heat big three lasted 4 years. The Celtics big three, I think, was the longest. I think they might have lasted 5. So it's if you look at that over the course of that, if you divide it up, I think it's 3.5 years or 3.4 years that the average of them staying together. So if you a team like Atlanta or even the Knicks, I would be looking at what can I do to keep building up. How can I be ready for the 2024 free agency class, the 2025? You need to be monitoring Tatum and Jaylen Brown. How are they sticking together? Are they liking it? Do one of them want to leave? Is one of them unhappy not being the man? Zion and BI, what are they going to be doing? Is BI going to be happy being Zion's second fiddle? These are the type of guys y'all need to be looking at for 3-4 years down the line. Because Atlanta, I still feel like they still need a starting wing, because Hunter is good, but I feel like he would be better in the bench role, at least right now. They need a dominant wing, because that's what's winning right now, the KDs, the Brons, the Kawhis. Well, it used to be the Kawhis. Them is the players that's kind of taking over the league right now. So you need a dominant 3. They also need a backup center that could protect the rim. Capella lead the game. It gets vicious for him. It gets people just to the rim. If you look at the Knicks game, the Knicks kind of got back in the game once he started getting to the rim, and once Capella left the game. So they need that. Those are two of the biggest things. That's what I would be looking for in the draft. It might be a little tough to get where they drafted at to get a starting 3, unless one just somehow fall into your lap. But the backup center, I think they could definitely address this draft. They could just keep looking to add little pieces, and then, as Trae Young keep developing, maybe in a few years he could get a couple people to come to Atlanta. If you commit to John Collins, before this season, John Collins was averaging 20 and 10. It's been all these rumors and all of these trade talks and this and that, and he underperformed this year, but I really do feel like that had a lot to do with all of the indecisiveness. And I don't care, man. People act like, oh, this is sports. Like, these players, some of these players got feelings. Like, some of these players don't take well to not being wanted. That's just what it is. So it's like him hearing that, oh, well, he not wanted, oh, we not going to pay him, and that. I do feel like that affected his play. And he still averaged 17 and 8. So it's like, build from within, give him a 3-year deal. Like I said, the 3 years, you're going to know that's about the window for this super team. In 3 years, if he balling and they a dominant 1-2 combo, then you extend him longer and then maybe bring in a free agent. If he not, his 3 years is up, okay, then you can let him go. But you're not going to win a championship in this next 3 years anyway, so why not try to see what you have within your team? You got Bogdanovich, you got a lot of good pieces. Like, you got pieces to make it work. Capella is a good piece. Like I said, you're just missing that 3. And they even got a pretty good bench now with Header. They got Lou Williams. And so if they put Hunter on the bench, they would be solid. Get them a backup big, they be in the building. So it's like they need to be building for 3-4 years from now. So I would be committing to John Collins and seeing what him and Trae Young could do, because I already got me a special guard. And if I could get me a big that could turn into something. And you got to remember, too, with bigs, it take a little longer. Like, this league is meant for guards to come in and dominate right away. Kind of how, like, the NFL is meant for running backs to come in and dominate. Like, that's why they hit the ground running as rookies. Bigs, it kind of take a minute, So, like, Aiden didn't just get going right away. Even look at Julius Randle and what he's doing now compared to what he was doing when he was with the Lakers or something. So, like, don't be so quick to just throw away these bigs. Like, if he's showing signs that he could be good and he could be special, even though last game he had a horrible game. I mean, he was in foul trouble the whole game. So, I mean, sometimes that's going to happen. But if it was me, I would be signing him and be just seeing what we got and moving forward like that and building for the future. Not right now, because we not one of them teams. And teams got to be realistic with themselves. Another team, like, even talking about Dallas, like, Dallas is in a different situation. Like, Dallas is in a spot where they're a couple of pieces away from seriously competing for a championship. They have a player that's a lot further along, and his impact is a lot greater. With a second player like KP, and I know they saying that they're not really getting along, but if they could work that out, man, to me that's a special duo, and I really feel like they kind of need another wing as well, but I don't know, man. I feel like Luka could almost get there this year. I really do. Looking at the field, the Lakers are looking good right now, as expected. That's going to probably be the hardest team moving forward if they get past the Clippers. I really do feel like they're going to get past the Jazz. So, yeah, we'll see. But I feel like they already compete right now. So it's like, I don't know. I think that they right there. If we talking about, now let's go into just best young players in general. Like, if we talking best talent, who really like that right now. For me, the two players that I have to talk about is Luka and Tatum. Well, no, I can't say that. Let me rephrase. The top 4 players right now, I feel like Luka, then it's a little gap, and then it's Tatum, Booker, and Zion. I think those are the players that kind of separated themselves right now. Just because, like, Tatum, I mean, he'd already been to 2 conference finals. You look at Zion, the things he's doing, like I said, he averaging 25 on the 60% shooting. D-Book, and then he's just a bucket, man. Like, between him and Tatum, like, those are 2, like, Kobe disciples, and they are just special, man. But after that, I can't really tell you. It really kind of get close, because, I mean, you got Ja, you got LaMelo, you got B.I., you got Jamal Murray. I mean, it's De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, somebody we don't even talk about, he's averaging 25 and 7 this year. Like, so it's so much young talent all over the league. They're everywhere. I don't really even know how we supposed to separate them. Like, is we just gonna have to do, like, who having the best playoffs, or, like, what is it? Like, I don't know. But what I will say is our league is in great hands. And it's really fun to see, like, right now, with a lot of the older guys still balling. You got Bron. Even though CP3 hurt right now, he's been balling all season. Curry and what he was able to do this year. Still got Dame, still got Harden. And it's like, Russ, it's like, and the young guys are just, we see what y'all doing. We respect you, OGs, but, man, we here. And we ready, and we and we hungry, and they not stepping down. So to me, that is just that's impressive. I second to none. I'm just super excited for what's going forward. Like super excited for what the rest of these playoffs have in store. Super excited to see a lot of these young duos just keep growing, because this is what it's about, getting that experience in the playoffs. Like, you know, the D Books and Aiden, the Lucas and KP, like you continue to grow as you play in the playoffs and as you continue to see what it's like. You know, even though Tatum and Brown is hurt and Tatum probably finna get either swept or did in 5, they didn't already had playoff experience together. Like they kind of know what it's looking like. So for like some of these other young groups to come together in the playoffs, you know, we'll see. Oh wait, and I just been talking all of this time and I haven't mentioned Donovan Mitchell. Like, what am I doing? Donovan Mitchell, a D-Wade disciple, he's also one of the best young players. I mean, he got a strong case for that 5th spot on my list. What he'd have been able to do in the playoffs, what he'd have been doing consistently, even before he got hurt this year, was leading his team to the 1 seed, averaging over 25. He definitely in the mix. Sorry about that, D. Mitch. Like, you feel me? He definitely one of the best players. He don't get the credit he deserves. All they do is win. You know what I'm saying? I know he got a pretty good team, but they not that special. So, like, it's a lot of what he brings to the table. As you see, Game 1, Memphis beat him. What was the difference? Game 2? Donovan Mitchell was there. So it's like, I can't go in a whole episode of talking young players, young talent without mentioning my guy. My bad on that. But now let's go into, so we're talking best young duos. So to me, let's say I'm gonna give you my opinion on who I think the best 3 young duos are moving forward. I mean, some of the young duos we got, just to name some of them, we got Luka and KP, we got D-Book and Aiden, Nikola Jokic and Murray, Tatum and Brown, B.I. and Zion, Joel and Ben, just to name, that was about 6 or 7 of them right there. I know I'm missing a few. We could even throw in, I guess, Trey and John Collins. Yeah, those are a lot of them. So just me personally, the ones I really do feel like I do feel like some of these are gonna break up over the years, like, but I do feel like the best ones, I mean, obviously Luka and KP. If they could get on the same page, Luka's so special that he's the difference. Like, I mean, KP is a 7-3 player, unicorn. So if they could lock in and whatever little beef they got going on, if they could get rid of that, they could be special in the next year or two. Like, you know, so I definitely feel like they're at the top. When you look at it next, I got D-Book and Aiden. I'm a lot higher on D-Book and Aiden than a lot of people. I've been like low key back in the Suns for a couple of years, saying like all they needed was a PG. You know, it's tweets to prove it. They need a PG. They get a PG. They second in the league. But D-Book and Aiden, I just see baby Shaq and Kobe. I really do. And it's like, I know when people see that, they be, oh my God, they gotta win championship, blah, blah, blah. Kobe and Shaq, people forget, like, they played together 4 years before they actually won a ring. Or no. They won a ring in their 4th season. So it's like, let's not act like they just came together and just figured it out. Like, you know, Kobe was young, Shaq was still trying to figure it out. They was trying to blend, but once it got going, it clicked. So I feel like that could definitely be, and more of, like, D-Book would be the better player. So instead of, like, how Shaq was the better player and Kobe was the second fiddle, this time it'd be reversed. D-Book as the Kobe would be the best player, and Aiden the second fiddle, but it still got the dynamic that could work long term. Like, you could build around that, like how they got Mikal Bridges, they got Cam Johnson. You got you a guard and a big man you could build around the perimeter, and they keep going. They need a point guard that could take over for Chris Paul in the next couple years. I was really hoping they took my guy Cole Anthony. I was so mad when they didn't do that. Cole Anthony would have been perfect for them to learn under Chris Paul and take over the reins either next year or the year after if Chris Paul gonna stay another year. But they didn't do that, so like that's a major key right now. They need to go get him another point guard to keep building for the future. But I do think they got the second best young duo. D-Book is special, man. Aiden is good. You can't just teach 21 to 15. You know, like, he big, he got good hands. He could get a little bit better on defense, but you know it's gonna come with time. Like I said, sometimes big man, it's just these guards is good. Like, so you getting switched out of pick and rolls, it's kind of hard. You know, he had lost a little bit in a few assignments, but I think it'll click for him. I do think so. And then third, it was tough. You know, I was leaning towards Tatum and Brown, but I went with Nikola Jokic and Murray just based off of fit. Like, if we talking who gonna stay together long term, not just who are the two better players right now, because I think you might say Tatum and Brown are both better players than Jamal Murray currently, but the fit, you could build around Brown the guard and the big man combo, and they play together so well. Off they pick and roll, they got the best pick and roll 1-2 game in the league. They've been doing it for years. They still Michael Porter starting to come along. They still need another perimeter defender, and maybe another rim defender, because Jokic, that's not what he do. But they need another. If they could get those two things, they could really truly compete. So I do feel like they are up there. But as far as the Tatums and Browns, it's kind of just hard to see, or even Zion and Bi. It's kind of hard to see these young players that played similar positions stay together. I just don't know how that works. I just feel like Tatum and Zion is gonna get so much of the credit moving forward that it's gonna be hard for Brown and Brandon Ingram to really fully flourish and fully grow how they supposed to. I don't know how that works. And there's a lot of times when you look at it, when Bron and D Wade came together, or when Curry and KD came together, it's they were already established players. D Wade and Curry had already won a ring. You know what I'm saying? They had already had their accolades. So when these other two guys came, when Bron came into Miami or when KD came to the Warriors, it was okay, we just trying to win now. We already locked in our legacies. They was already Hall of Fame players before these guys came. That's not the case for Tatum and Brown. That's not the case for Zion and Bi. They still trying to build that legacy. Bi left, or Bi was trying to get from under Bron shadow, and now he under Zion's shadow. So it's even though I do feel like they would be a good 1-2 punch moving forward, I don't know. It's hard to really tell based off Brown and Bi. How what are they like? Do they want to be the guy? Do they feel like they could be the guy, or are they okay with scoring 35 and you might not get mentioned that much? It'd be games where Bi is the Pelicans' leading scorer. He might hit the game winner, and still all you see on ESPN is Zion, Zion, Zion. So I don't know if he's willing to, how long he'll put up with that, how long they is, but I just feel like those top three that I named got a way better chance of staying together long term and being built around. Because when you got two wings, it's it's kind of a little bit tougher, I feel like, to build. You kind of need the versatility. I don't know. So, we'll see. And then you also got Joel and Ben. Obviously, I'm big team Trey Ben. I don't care what he's doing right now. That's not going to work. They not going to beat the Nets. They couldn't beat the Bucks if they played them. Luckily, they only got to play one, but they will lose to both of them. I will die on this hill of the Sixers need to get on the phone, call Portland, and offer up Ben Simmons for Damian Lillard. Ben Simmons, 2-3 first-round picks. You can let them pick a shooter. Either they can have the foreign kid, number 30, or they can have Seth Curry. Send that offer. Ben, a shooter, and the draft picks. If that don't work, we could throw in the perimeter guy, the two-way player, 22. He pretty good player. Some people say he'll be second team all defense this year. So if they want him as well, but I just feel like that's a way better dynamic. You put Joel Embiid with Dame, now they come close to the top of the list. And then they got Tobias. Tobias, to me, that would be the perfect role for him, the third option, second perimeter scorer. He don't have to be the main scorer. Right now, he has to be the main perimeter scorer. So, he had the good game the other day where he had, 28 in the first half. But that's not real. That's not going to continue to happen. So you have to put people in position to win. He's not that. That's what Chris Middleton right now is balling, because they brought in Drew Holiday, so he had somebody to alleviate the pressure of only being the only perimeter scorer. And now look how he balling. He came out game one and shook off a lot of the playoff jitters, hitting a big shot, hitting the game winner. You just got to understand how to build your team. And Damian Lillard, and I know Portland might not want to give him up, but, you got to just talk to him. He been here 10, 11 years. Y'all not winning. You're just going to keep paying him all of these millions and millions of dollars and going in circles with CJ and Dame. And you're not going to be able to get a Ben Simmons level player for CJ. So bring Ben in, him and CJ. That'll be perfect. He don't have to worry about perimeter scoring. He got a one that's confident. He can play his position. He don't have to. And it's not a Joel Embiid where it's if he's down in the post, it's clogging the lane. On Portland, he'll be able to be around there with Nurkic, and they can make that work, I believe. With Joel, I just think it's just clogged, and I don't think that'll work. I do think if they could trade for Dame, I think Philly could get to the finals. I mean, I just feel like Dame is really like that. I know it's Brooklyn, but I just don't feel like Dame had a chance to show what he really like on that big stage, And to me, let him get there and let him get the right players around him. Let him get a Joel Embiid, who, if he would have been healthy, would have been MVP this season. Get a Tobias Harris. He would still have a shooter. Like, yeah, I think that should be the offseason trade. Like, that should be where they go. As soon as Ben Simmons get handed the Defensive Player of the Year, while all of the hype is still high and everybody's still feeling good about Benny Boy, I'd be on the phone trading his ass. Plain and simple, that's what it is. No disrespect, but I'm trying to win a championship. I'm going to get Dame. Got to. So that's my thing on them. I just don't really see that working. But we didn't talk a lot about the next gen, but like kind of, I think that's a good transition into like talking a little bit about the offseason, just a smidge bit before we get out of here. This episode will be not as long, I don't think. We're gonna talk about what teams should do. Like, now the Kawhi, I don't know if you watched last episode, you see me say if the Clippers flame out, Kawhi could be gone this summer. He's a free agent. He could opt out. They down 0-2. We'll see if they could what they do with Game 3. But I do feel like Kawhi could be gone. And the two teams that I listed, I said Miami and the Warriors. I still feel like that's the best two spots. Like, Stephen A. Smith tried to steal my hot take. He came out a couple of days later talking about, Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard are friends and da-da-da-ba-da-da. Okay, so I do feel like that's a good spot. They have the money to do it. The thing with the Warriors is they would have to move a few pieces to do it, and it just really depends on like what they willing to risk to go for it. Like I put on Twitter the other day, would you a trade scenario of Wiseman, Wiggins, the Minnesota pick if they get it, and they pick, which would be like 10th or 11th, I think, for Sabonis and Miles Turner. Now, when you hear that, it's probably sounding like that's a lot to give up for just them two players. But I would be talking to Kawhi, like, we get these two guys, we give you Clay be coming back, you and Curry, that's enough to go win the championship. You and Curry, Sabonis, Miles Turner, Clay, by the time the playoffs come, after he get to slowly come back in and be fully healthy, if you could he already said he wants Jordan Poole in the 6-man role. If you could get Draymond to accept the Iggy role of like 6th, 7th man, coming in, playing defense, playing this Steelers point forward role, you got Juan. Like, I mean, that's enough, I feel like. Obviously, they have to add a few more little pieces, maybe like a J.J. Redick or somebody like that. Maybe a Buddy Hield, like just some more little shooting off the bench. That could be enough to compete. But it's just, are they willing to mortgage the future? Are they trying to be a part of the next gen? Or are they still trying to compete for championships? And I feel like if you want to keep Curry would be a free agent. He could be a free agent, I think, in 2022. If you want to keep him and if you don't want him to go off, if you want him to be one of them players, if you want to be a Kobe, a Duncan, a Dirk, and a Lifer, I think you got to go for it. And I don't think nobody in your fan base, actually, I know I follow a lot of your fan base, they would be more than happy if you made a trade for another key piece to add to that, But as a Heat guy, as a guy that got 2 D-Wade jerseys hanging up in my sports room, I hope that don't work out for you, bucko. Hope you come to the Heat. We get Kawhi, man. It's up. We got Kawhi, Jimmy, Bam. You know what I'm saying? Real defenders, not these Paul George players that's like used to be good defenders and now they not standing in front of nobody, not performing. So come to Miami, let's get it done, man. Let's do it. Victor Oladipo. We just see how we'll see how it all shake out. But I think Kawhi got to go. And a lot of people are saying like, why would Kawhi leave, this and that. And I don't know. I feel like LA is getting to him a little bit, like just because, like him ducking smoke. Like I feel like he kind of now living in LA is kind of he hearing a lot more of the media. Like being in San Antonio or being in Canada, like it wasn't really that big of a deal. Now I feel like the pressure kind of building. So like go back somewhere to Miami where it's not gonna be like just so huge media on you like as it would be in LA, and get back to being who you were, man. Get back to competing for championships and doing that. I mean, if he goes to the Warriors, that's not a bad situation, but I'm just here cheering for the Heat. So that's just where I'm at with it. And then, I hope everybody's seeing what I'm saying about Danny Ainge. You see what's going on with Boston. I don't care, Jaylen Brown. It wouldn't be that much different if he was there. He got to go, man. He got to go. He's not building them a good enough team to compete. And his time is up. Whatever he did for them, this is not, we can't keep giving out legacy awards in sports and keep letting people hold their jobs just because he has to go. And even Pat Riley, man, I'm telling you, look at what's going on with my Heat. If we would have had James Harden right now, think about it like this. We got Jimmy Butler. We got Bam. If we trade for James Harden before the trade deadline, for Hero, some picks, whatever else they would have wanted, we would have Jimmy Butler, James Harden, and Bam Adebayo. The Clippers losing the first round. You don't think Kawhi Leonard will want to come play with James Harden and Jimmy Butler? James Harden, one of the best scorers the NBA's ever seen, so he wouldn't have to even worry about scoring that much. Jimmy Butler and Bam, two of the best defenders in the league. That would be the perfect spot for him. Like, he could be low key, he could do his thing, fit right in. But we didn't want to go for Harden, we didn't want to go for it. So now we sitting here in a battle with the Warriors or whoever else is going to make a run. I'm sure a bunch of teams going to make a run at Kawhi this year, but I feel like if we would have had Harden with Jimmy, it would have been locked that he would have came to us. So we gave up that opportunity, but I think we can still get Kawhi. But I just don't know about Pat Riley, man. I feel like we got to bring in some new guys. Like, all of these players, all of these GMs and presidents that's been around for all of these years, like, Pat Riley too old school, man. Like, you got to get with the times, brother. It's a new day. And Danny Ainge, they don't get it. They don't get what's going on. Like, these you got to look at, like, these younger GMs, like, look at James Jones and Phoenix. Like, when he first got there, he was making a lot of bad decisions, or would look to be bad decisions, and look at what he's building. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look at what he's putting together. Look at what Leon Rose doing with the Knicks. Just people that you gotta be able to understand what's going on in the current day. Like, you gotta be able to understand these players the way they think. It's not the same as when Magic Johnson was playing Pat Riley. It's not the same as D Wade early years or when you was with the Knicks in the 90s. This is not that. This is a whole new day. And you got to be willing to trade for these players. And it's like, Pat Riley, I can see him not liking the way Harden play or the way Harden do certain things, but he's the fourth best shooting guard ever. So you got to do what you got to do to get him, especially when they're not even taking that much. Like, the Nets didn't even have to give up Joe Harris. We could have probably kept Duncan Robinson. We wouldn't even have to give up our shooter. So being able to bring in Kawhi and keep our shooter, man, listen, we would have been right there competing for the championship. So I feel like that's a big blunder, man. This offseason, hopefully we'll see what we can do. We'll see what's going on. This next draft class, we going to have a whole episode on that. But, the young guys, Cade coming in, man. If we talking next gen, I got him as one of the best. I got outside of... It's tough now because now these players got to the playoffs and now they performing, but I believe in Cade. You know what I'm saying? I got Cade coming in being special from day one. I think Cade, I had an argument with my friends about him coming out. I feel like he's going to be better than LaMelo if I had to choose between LaMelo and Cade Cunningham. Even though LaMelo had a great year. LaMelo, great player. If they was both in the same draft, I'm putting my money on Cade. And I feel like he coming in. I can't say he's going to do what Luka doing because I don't know if anybody else could do what Luka doing right now in their first 3 years. But as far as like just the numbers wise, but like his impact and what he do, I think he's going to be there. I think he's going to be up there with the Jazz and the trades. I think he could do. I think he got that in him. So I'm excited to see what that's looking like. Jalen Suggs. Jalen Green. The other kid playing in the G League, I can't remember his name right now. I can't pronounce his name. The African kid, wing player, really good. Oh, another tip for the Warriors. Warriors, do not take Jalen Suggs. I'm telling you, don't do it. A lot of Warrior fans is talking about that. Y'all is just drafting Curry's replacement. Like, why would y'all want Curry to be there for the next 4 or 5 years? Why would y'all want to draft this replacement? And then if Jalen Suggs start killing, it's like, oh, do we really want to give Steph Curry $400 million or $500 million? Or do we want to move forward with Wiseman with Suggs and let's see what they can do? So, be careful what you ask for, Warrior fans. Don't be so quick to say you want Jalen Suggs because I'm telling you, it's a cutthroat game. I watched D Wade give his all to the Heat, and then him not finish as a lifer. He had to go somewhere else for a year to get his money or to get his respect. So I'm just saying, I would be looking at a Jalen Green or somebody like a perimeter player that isn't a threat but could be helpful to Curry, not a threat to Curry. If I was a fan, I wouldn't be rooting for Suggs. That wouldn't be who I would be wanting to go get. And Suggs is really a good player. He's one of the best players in there, one of the best two-way players. He plays defense. But if I'm trying to maximize Steph Curry, I'm trying to get the best out of that, all I could get, and that's all you can do when you have a generational talent. You got to get the best and the most out of that. So I wouldn't. It's too many good wings. Either of the guys from the G League, I'm taking one of them and moving on with my life. I really don't. If I don't trade the picks, it was me. The picks would be traded, so we wouldn't even be discussing who to pick. We wouldn't even care. It'd be over with. We'd be going to get some stars and be looking at Kawhi. And that's good for future. Like, even past Curry, like you look at the Lakers and what they're doing right now with Bron and AD. A lot of that is because of how they treated Kobe. How they respected him when it was his time to go and he gave him his money. You look at Boston. What Boston did to IT and didn't pay him, AD directly said, him and his dad said, we don't want to go to Boston. We don't trust the way they treat their players. So it's like, if you think taking care of your players and going all in don't have good long-term benefit, you crazy. So if it's me, I'm mortgaging the future and I'm trying to win it all with Curry, because the way the NBA run around, even if we don't be good after Curry leave for a few years, we can circle in a couple guys to our winning culture that we've built in the Bay, and we can be right back on top, just like the Lakers. Kobe left, they was down for some years, but they was able to get Bron, and then they was able to get AD because they have a winning culture. So at some point, always that winning culture is going to come through, and it's going to get back, like the Spurs. So believe in your culture, believe in your star player, believe in all of that. And go for it. Like, I'm always, if I was a GM, if I was president, I would be in go for it mode if I had that. If I'm in a situation like Atlanta, like I spoke about earlier, okay, we be thinking we ain't going for it, we not mortgaging the future for any type of thing. But I mean, obviously 2022, Atlanta, make the call, see if you could get a free agent, but I wouldn't be, all my eggs wouldn't be in that basket. I'd be moving for the future. So it's kind of just determining where your team at. But if you got a shot and you got a top 5 player, top 10 player, it's always should be win mode. It should always be like, how can we maximize this? Because any year that a top 5 or 6 player isn't competing for a championship in the NBA is a failure season on the organization, because it only take 2 or 3 top players and some good role players to compete in the NBA. I mean, when you look at it, like basically 2 years of Curry career, I mean, he got hurt last year, so that's a wasted year. And then he had this amazing year this year, but they didn't even make the playoffs. So like, that's kind of like 2 lost years of his prime career in the playoff mode. So you don't want him to go another year or 2 without making the playoffs or actually having a chance to compete, because we don't know how many more years he got past. He's already 33. So how many more years do he got to be elite? 3, 4, I mean 5 if we want to stretch it. Like, he could play for a long time because he could shoot, so he'll be able to stick around as long as he won't. But like, how long will he be the Steph Curry dominant player that you're seeing right now today? So, I mean, we'll see what they do. We'll see what Miami do. Those are the 2 teams that I'll be watching this summer. Yeah, shout out to the young guys. Hey, thank you all for tuning in for Dead Spot. We'll be back next week. Thank you again. Dev out.